Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 62 of All the Gear But No Idea, South Australia's premier fishing podcast. Rhodey, I think it's fair to say. How are you?
Diz, we're number one. You heard it here first.
Straight to the top. Jeez, comes out flying out of the gates on today's episode. We've got an absolute ripper today. Last week you would have all heard us, last episode I should say, you would have all heard us wrap up the fishing forum. Fantastic to have Rhodey there as All the Gears representative.
Also took minutes at the event.
Took minutes, but today we are very pleased to announce that we've got Andrew Harris, RecFish Deputy Chair.
Yes, he was very important to the forum too.
Very important at the forum, and we are going to have a very thorough chat with Harry. He's been very generous with his time, and so a fair bit of this episode today is going to be dedicated to that discussion. But of course, we'll still have all of our regulars. And Rhodey, let's kick things off with the beer.
Diz, we've earned it, mate. It's been a big week.
But we should just move straight into oranges and lemons. Rhodey, give us your orange.
Diz, we've got a little fish on Sunday planned. It's been too long, and I'm looking forward to getting the boat in the water, go smash some tings over on the York Peninsula, Diz. So getting the rod back in the water shortly is my orange.
Yes, it's been too long, far too long. And so that's a good orange. I'll come straight back at you with my orange is another SA Angler article submitted. Rhodey?
Yes, Diz, we sent that off to the men's fourth sort of just in the last fortnight, and that is going to be talking about York Peninsula whiting, Diz.
Yes, and it's a fantastic magazine. Of course, they've got the new format happening.
Seasonal,
and really glad to be a part of it. Always good fun writing those articles together, Rhodey.
Yes, Diz. Now, we do have to touch on the negatives. I know we don't like doing this as such, but I think, what was that, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I battled through COVID heroically, did every bit of gardening in the house, didn't let that stop me.
Gardening in the house?
In the backyard, whatever it is. Anyway, COVID didn't put a dent in me apart from keeping me in the premises.
Yes.
But got over that, had a good couple of weeks, and then this cold just hit me. 2 weeks I've been coughing.
Your immune system's shot, and for all the listeners out there who do tune in today, we do apologise for the brief interruptions of Rhodey coughing.
And I'll just leave you on a little secret, guys. Dizzy's a bloody pharmacist and he can't get me anything good.
No, I did. I'm surprised that your lemon isn't that I gave you the best cough mixture and it gave you constipation.
That was the worst stuff I've ever had.
Oh, dear. All right, well, I'll fire back with my lemon, Rhodey, and it's no surprise that we're two Port diehards and it's season over.
It's not good.
Nah, it's horrible, mate. It's really disappointing.
You know the only positive about that is?
What?
Tommy Jonas will be sending us in a few fishing photos before long.
Yes, true. We should try and line up a bit of a trip with Tommy.
We should, Diz. No doubt about that.
We'll get Hearts on.
He's not at the Power anymore. He's actually women's assistant coach. He might be busy now, actually. He's coming into his peak season. That really backfired on you, didn't it?
I know that Hamish doesn't play for Port anymore, just to be
Did you
really
know he's
clear.
Assistant coach of the women's team?
No, that doesn't stop him from fishing.
It doesn't. Anyway, let's keep moving, Diz. We're keeping it quick and now we're talking shit.
Merch. Rhodey, beanies. Still cold, still wet, still miserable. And look, you're going to be needing a beanie on the boat for long into sort of September, October generally.
And Diz, the second box has arrived and we've put a good dent in them already.
Yes, we absolutely have. And I think it's fair to say there's still some people out there who we probably had lined up for at least one or two who haven't reached out yet. So you know who you are.
Reach out to us, guys.
Reach out and get amongst it. Rhodey, let's get into the news. And we've always got a lot. We bury our heads in the books. We do the research. We get the sort of cream of the crop of the news. But this week's going to be very brief because we are, like I've alluded to earlier, very lucky to be joined by Andrew Harris, and we're having a good long discussion with him. So, Rhodey, give us the overview, the brief edition of the news this week.
Yes, Diz, it would be. We couldn't miss this one. There is a new concept design floating around for the Marion Bay boat launching facility. So this has been put out by the Yorke Peninsula Council, Diz. And they're seeking feedback about the plans, which include a 6 metre wide ramp for large boats and a 4 metre wide ramp for small to medium boats, plus a jetty down the middle. I think they said that couldn't be floating, so it's a fixed jetty. And also some sort of wave calming infrastructure, which off that little picture looked like a little bit of a rock wall, was it?
Yeah, it looked something along those lines. I mean, clearly there's no extravagant breakwater, marina development and anything along those lines that would quite obviously be overkill and probably something that either the council or anybody involved wouldn't be able to afford. But it looks pretty good, and in the sort of concept design, I suppose they're asking for feedback. You know, realistically, let's face it, the feedback's going to be most value from those people who use it very frequently, but it appears to be including quite a wide 6 metre ramp for larger boats. That's those, you know, commercials, operators, you know, charter operators, that type of thing. And then a 4 metre, slightly narrower ramp for small to medium boats. That's us, Rhodey, I'd say.
That's us, Diz.
Reco communities, that type of, you know, the RecFishers, I should say, that type of thing. But looks really good, Rhodey. I think, you know, the parking's always good down there, I think.
Yep, it is.
Even probably the busiest days, people make it work, but doing up that area around there is only going to be good for people. They obviously have a great run through summer. The pub's right there.
I was about to say that's the best part. Close for a knockoff.
You know, I think it's a great idea to updo. Not that I've got a problem with that ramp. I'm sure people who launch very large boats there, or maybe people who launch there when the weather isn't quite as favourable, probably think that an upgrade's necessary. But you know, good news nonetheless.
And Diz, that feedback can go to the Yorke Peninsula Council via email or mail, and that is open. The public consultation is open until Monday, the 12th of September. So jump on, I think the Yorke Peninsula Council Facebook page had the link. So jump on that and have a look.
Fantastic, Rhodey. What else we got this week?
Diz, next next piece of news was something that just popped up on my Facebook actually today, and that was former guest of the show, Luke Chamings, has been announced as the South Australian OzFisher of the Year. So well done to him.
Chamo, great guest. Very handy when it comes to developing very unique lures.
He's a passionate man, Diz. He looks after all things freshwater fishing in particular.
He does, and he was like we said, fantastic guest and a very worthy recipient, I'd say, Rhodey.
And in honour of that, I think you should all go back and have a listen to episode 58 with Luke Chamings.
Good call. Rhodey, we're plucking out a couple more stories here. I'm hearing new Kangaroo Island ferries due to be operational in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, it says 2024 here, Diz, and the state government has also planned $37 million port upgrades at Penneshaw and Cape Jarvis. But the two new, better, more capable ferries, they certainly look nice, Diz.
They look very flash. Very flash indeed. Do we think that $37 million port upgrade is going to coincide with the new boats arriving?
Look, this could do.
I imagine port upgrades would take quite some time.
Yeah, they would, Diz. But I think it's
they're not going to remove all infrastructure though. You know, obviously the majority of it will stay the same. It's probably just a refresh, update, that type of thing. Yeah, bit more capacity.
They're certainly not starting again, Diz. They'll refresh what they've got, you'd think.
Yeah, good call,
So
Roddy.
it talks here about a $50 million for a larger drive-through ferry, which will deliver a faster service and hopefully a more reliable service, Diz, because it did go down, I think, a week or so ago, Diz.
Yeah, no, it did. And I think you're right. I mean, we just want... It's not the most efficient of ferry systems, is it?
No, and certainly not when what just happened when one's getting fixed and then the other one breaks.
Yeah. That really puts a dent in your efficiency. But, I mean, you know, when you think about the advice is, I think, get there half an hour, 45 minutes before your ferry journey.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're adding an hour and a bit, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Most people are probably travelling, an hour and a half from Adelaide?
Probably. It's a long trip, really.
You know, if you want to get on the other side or you want to get to that, you know, north coast, you're probably looking at 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah. But Diz, look, for mine, it's not necessarily about the, 5 or 10 minutes they're going to save with these new boats. I just hope they're bloody reliable.
Yeah, you just want to be able to get there when you want to get there, don't you?
That's it, Diz. Now, that's all we got time for, is it, Diz? We're going to cut the news there.
I think that's about wraps it up, mate, because we've got a lot coming in this next area. We've talked enough about this. Let's just get him on the line. Andrew Harris, Vice Chair, RecFish.
All right, Diz, we are joined here on the line now by Andrew Harris, the Vice Chair of RecFish SA. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, lads. Cheers for having me.
Andrew, it's fantastic to have you on, and we're really looking forward to having a chat with you about your role and all things fishing. But first of all, let's get into our 5 questions that we ask every guest. And Andrew, can you tell us about your best fish?
Oh, mate. Look, it's always hard to pick out one. I did get the opportunity to fish up a little creek in New Guinea last year, and I've managed to snag some decent mangrove jacks out of that. And I'd have to say, that was probably a bit of a highlight, when you're pulling 50 plus centimetre mangrove jacks out of a tight little creek. It's good fun. Outside of that one, I reckon you can't go past the old kingfish is pretty good as well.
Yes, no, we're very jealous of those mangrove jacks, mate. Very good.
Yeah, lovely.
All right, Harry, tell us about your favourite thing about fishing.
Favourite thing about fishing is just the excitement of it all. Not knowing if you're actually going to catch anything when you head out on a trip, whether you're going land-based or whether you're going out in the boat. Just that excitement of doing something different for the day. Every day seems to be pretty different when you go fishing. And I guess that's probably one of my favourite things. The other thing would be, taking mates out and going fishing with new crew who might not have caught a particular species before, and getting them onto something is always good too.
It's that anticipation half the time about fishing trips, isn't it? Like you're talking about it, you're thinking about it, you're planning everything, and it's a lot of sort of mental effort goes into fishing before you've even got out there sometimes.
Absolutely. All that prep work, and then sometimes you just have a donut.
Well, we're glad you said that, not us.
Don't worry, mate. We've been there plenty of times.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. Harry, tell us about your first fishing memory or what got you into it.
Like most little lads, I reckon, my dad was probably my main influence getting into fishing. We used to have my grandparents had a family holiday house up at Lake Jindabyne in New South Wales. We used to go fishing up there for trout and up the Crackerback River and the Snowy River and stuff. And yeah, that's probably my fondest memory of fishing. And my old man getting me into it is probably my greatest memory there.
Yeah, beautiful. It's always good looking back on those early mememories of fishing. Tell us, Harry, about what your favourite sort of fishing is these days.
I like everything, man. Like the other week, I went for a trek up into the Adelaide Hills and chasing those trout in the small, tight little streams that we've got up there. Once again, that anticipation of, are you going to catch something? Are you going to see something today? So I don't really have a favourite. I still enjoy everything. I've got a new boat that I pick up next week when I get home. So I'll be back out on the water, and I enjoy heading out in the boat and offshore and just seeing what comes of it all.
Mate, that's pricked our ears up. What sort of boat's coming?
I've got a new 6 metre North Bank that I sort of made some big modifications on and changed up a little bit. So it's been a long process, but yeah, the guys up there have been really accommodating, and I'm pretty keen to get this thing on the water.
I bet, mate. Are you going the hard top or a cuddy cabin, or what's happening?
Oh, I didn't win lotto, so I've just got the 600 with the soft top, but I've made a fair few mods. I've got a side dive door going into it, so it's the first 600 with a dive door. I changed my fuel. I've got 300 litres of fuel. Changed all the dash for larger electronics, and I've made a lot of changes to it. So I'm definitely keen to get it out there and get some mates on the water and have a decent fish.
So you're all set to pull some barrels in over the side with the dive door? Is that the plan?
Yeah, it took a lot of convincing to get Rob from North Bank Boats to put a dive door into a 600, and it's taken a lot of time and a lot of money his end to make up the mold and get it all squared away. But yeah, he's put a pretty good product together, and I think that there'll be a few more 600 North Banks kicking around in a few months' time with side doors. So yeah, hopefully next season we'll get down to Port Mac and get a barrel through it.
Fantastic, mate. Well, we'll be keeping up to speed with all your barrel missions because we'll be extremely jealous if you get one. We better get back on track here because we have one more of the 5 questions. What's your funniest fishing story, or tell us about one that got away?
I was thinking about this one today pretty hard. Everyone's had it, I reckon, but the old squid ink in the face. When I was a young lad. Absolutely. I was just a young lad, and I said to Dad, "It's all right, mate, I've got this. I'll grab this squid over." And I leaned over the boat, and this thing's jetted backwards. And as he's jetted backwards, he's decided he wanted to squirt a nice big load of ink right into my face. And I just turned and looked at my old man, and he just lost it, absolutely laughed his head off. And yeah, I felt like a little bit of an idiot.
You talked earlier, Harry, about there's nothing better than taking your mates out and getting them onto a fish when they're not normally into it. There's nothing better than taking your mates out and them getting squid ink in the face.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe I don't know. I'll wait until the boat gets a little bit older before I let dudes tackle the old squid all over everything.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to be that first trip out when everything's sparkly and everything on your brand new boat, and you get onto a bag of squid. That'll ruin your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Get all over my upholstery.
All right, Harry, let's get into the bulk of the interview here, and we've got a lot to talk about. But first, we want to hear about how you came to be the Deputy Chair of RecFish.
Great question. A few months ago, I was still asking myself that as well. But pretty much, look, to keep it relatively short, I've been watching the whole space for a long time. I've been lucky enough to be involved in the industry when I got out of the Army in 2018 and got into the fishing tackle industry. So I've been lucky enough to be in that environment since then. And I've been watching this whole RecFish / recreational community / the commercial side of things for a long time, and just haven't really commented on much or said anything about it. But I've just had a little baby boy who's now 4 months old, and that was sort of the decider for me to maybe get involved, see if I can provide some sort of positive influence in that space, and use my connections within the tackle industry as well to see if that can make some sort of difference as well. So that's probably the main reason. My young lad now, I want him to have a sustainable fishery in the future, so he can enjoy everything that I had when I was growing up and fishing with my dad. And then obviously, hopefully in years to come when he has kids, that it's still a strong, sustainable fishery then too.
Yeah, beautiful, Harry. It's good that we've got people like yourself getting involved and shoring up the future of fishing in SA. So well done on getting involved, mate.
Thanks, mate. Look, at the end of the day, I'm sure we're going to talk about it more through this podcast, but it's just not myself, it's not the other board members, and it's not the other people in past involvement. It's about what we're going to do as a collective moving forward. That's really going to be able to influence and shape what our fishery and our recreational sector is going to look like, I think.
Yeah, Harry, and the first thing that we want to talk about in regards to this RecFish stuff that's been going on is the survey. We did have a bit of a chat about it in our last podcast, but on behalf of RecFish, what did you think were the big sort of takeaways from it?
Look, the survey, and I had a listen to your last podcast, lads, and it was good. It summed up the forum pretty well. But to give you a bit of a back brief and idea on that survey, we've had several meetings with ministers and PIRSA and leading into the development of going ahead and doing the forum and the survey. The survey was mainly to get some discussion topic points from the recreational community prior to that event. So we could have some sort of feedback from them that we can then have discussion points throughout at the end of the forum.
Fantastic, mate. And it's definitely achieved that, I think. Lots to talk about and lots to, like you say, engage with the community on in terms of where to next. One thing we did want to ask was, when the survey was set up, was there sort of an expected number of responses? Was it less, more, about what you're expecting, that sort of thing?
Like from my personal point of view, I would have liked to have honestly seen more people participate in the survey. We've obviously there's been a lot of surveys over recent years, and whether that played any part of the participation rate, I won't know. It's one of those things as well. We could have had the survey a lot longer than it was. We decided that let's keep it short, sharp, and shiny, because the real focus is on that forum. And if we can get the information or some information from a survey to have as discussion points at the end of that forum, well, that's going to achieve the result. I think we had about 550 people from memory. I'm obviously away at the moment. I don't have the details right in front of me, but I think for the time that we had, I was happy with the response that we got. However, I would have liked to have seen more engagement from a younger demographic as well.
Yeah. And
given the social media aspect of, everything at the moment, I am a little bit disappointed that that younger demographic between, say, the ages of 16 and let's say 30, we didn't get more participation from them. But what that highlights is that gives us an idea now on other key focuses that when we do conduct any future surveys, that we need to look at how we're going to target our audience to ensure that we're going to capture that age bracket.
Yeah, and you talk about capturing sort of a wider variety of people in the rec fishing sector, and we did want to ask you about something that you mentioned. I think it was you that mentioned it on the night. That was the iPad survey that you've got coming up. Is that something that can you tell us when that starts and tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, look, I got on board with RecFish in November of last year. RecFish was not funded, obviously, then. Since the new government change with their commitments, RecFish will be the peak body for recreational community in South Australia. So it's important that we try to engage and capture as many people as we can. Not everyone's going to have, the social media side of things to see what's happening. As I said earlier on, I've had that connection with the tackle industry since 2018. And I've been able to develop, some strong relationships there with especially some of the key independent tackle stores in the state. So the idea came about, we need to look at, now that we're the peak body, how are we going to be able to capture everybody, even the people that don't have the social media. So we're going to look into getting some iPads with the function on there to have a generic ongoing survey with enough with some sections in there to provide feedback and detailed comments. So from the person obviously filling out that survey, and that's going to enable us to be able to capture the older generation who are not too all over the social media side of things, but can be sort of guided from a person in store to complete the survey and provide any further comments that they've got. And being an ongoing survey, it's also going to give us the ability to alter that as time progresses or new things are coming out. So we can get the direct feedback from the recreational community and hopefully reach more people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really like the sound of that because, as you say, that'll allow the community to, have their say or participate in a discussion around certain things that might be, topical at that given point in time. And I guess that leads on to my next question about the forum, because clearly a great way to get some people together in a room to be talking about the types of things that matter to them. Is there plans for more forums, regular events throughout the course of the year, those types of things? I think it's a great opportunity to get that community together like you were talking about.
Yeah, 100%, guys. And look, we're all volunteers. Everyone on the RecFish board are volunteers. So when the idea about the forum was raised, we had I think we advertised that we had about a month of advertising the dates, etc. Trying to get as much information out there to the recreational community as we could. Just going back quickly to those iPads, that's going to give us the ability to be able to reach out into the Port Lincoln West Coast side of things all the way down to the southeast, because as I said, we're volunteers, so we can't necessarily pick up our bat and ball and head down to those locations all the time. However, if the forums, we would like to reach out, especially in this relative early stage, reach out to those regional areas like Port Lincoln and Mount Gambier. And if we feel that a forum is something that will be necessary down there, well, then it's something that we can obviously look at as well. I think that it's important that it's not going to just be a debate as such. There still needs to be some sort of agenda attached to it. And the main reason why we had the forum, obviously in Adelaide, and we took that opportunity around the snapper ban and what was happening with that, and conversations that we had with Perza and Sardi in and around that science through the slideshow that was delivered. We only found out about sort of that not long before the forum, and we were like, well, hey guys, why don't we look at delivering this information to the recreational community to give them a bit of an oversight on, what is actually happening? Because at the moment, majority of the people out there probably don't know that you've done all this study and science and, that things are actually been happening over the last 3 years. So yeah, happy to look at forums moving forward if the recreational community is, if that's something that's going to be beneficial for them. And or if there are key things that we need to bring up during a forum and talk about.
Yeah, Harry, I thought the presentation from Sardi and Purser about the snapper stuff was really interesting. And I know, we've heard bits and pieces about how they do the sampling of the water and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but it was good to get a run through from start to finish the whole journey, how they look at not just the eggs, but the mature snapper. And I thought it was a really good way to get some information about the way the data comes together.
Yeah, and I thought it was extremely important that the recreational community have got that, that they're preloaded with that information prior to just something coming out, and they see it, and whatever comes out next year, they're like, well, hang on, how has this come about? I'm not a marine biologist, but it was certainly extremely interesting to cover off on start to finish, like you just said. painted that picture in my mind as, okay, this is what might happen, or this is how they do things. And without them being transparent and communicating, we would be none the wiser.
Yeah, and Harry, the final part of that sort of plan for the research that they discussed was the report to be delivered. I think it said October to December when SARDI were ready to have it. Obviously, there was a bit of concern in the room and sort of out in the community that that's then a pretty short turnaround to when the snapper ban is supposed to open. What do you think about that?
Mate, excuse me, sorry. That was the main reason as well for this forum, as I said, is to get that information now. So we've got the details. So then when that report is generated and it comes out, we can understand and break that down a little bit more with the information that we've been provided. So it gives us the ability to sort of read into or understand further, what the outcome might be. I think, I would have liked to have seen that report come out sooner. I think everyone would have liked to have seen that report come out sooner. So then that will give us some time to absorb the information, and then, ask questions and whatever else needs to happen through that process, especially because we're coming into Christmas then as well. And then before you know it, it's the new year, and then before you know it, the snapper's meant to be opening. So I think at this stage, we can only work with I can't control anything there. You can't control anything there. So we can only work with what we've got. I just feel that, at least we have a little bit of information early on in the piece to maybe understand what that report looks like a bit better.
Yeah, certainly it's good to have some information now, but I suppose the cynic in you makes you think that the short turnaround means there's less, and the Christmas period that you talked about means there's less sort of time for debate about it, and whatever they sort of come up in that report is what it is because it's such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, look, all I can say to that is I'm a recreational fisher. I have expressed my concerns on behalf of RecFish and on behalf of myself directly to the Minister and directly to PIRSA in that short turnaround, given the fact, as you said, we've got Christmas, and we want to ensure that we have got enough time to absorb the information and provide the feedback, like you said, so it doesn't just get, pushed aside, so to speak. It's an important piece of the puzzle, I guess you can say, because it's been a long 3 years for a lot of people, not just the recreational anglers, but obviously the charter boat industry as well. It affects our tourism side of things. So yeah, I think that it can't be something that has to be, that will be rushed. We definitely need to be able to have, that public consultation through our peak body to be able to provide, what feedback needs to go to government and to PIRSA.
Fantastic, Harry, and all I can say is thank you for your efforts, mate, because we share the same sentiment. We're certainly going to be really watching this one closely. Hopefully they get the report out early in October, and that gives it that opportunity for exactly what you've just talked about, that consultation with all people involved, because like you said, it's not just rec fishing people that will be sitting here, for some people probably anxiously waiting about what that means for their business, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we look forward to seeing what unravels in that space, and we'll hope for the best. Yeah,
absolutely. And once again, it's our job as the peak body to ensure that we can provide all the information that we receive to the recreational community as quick as we can. But it's also a two-way street. We need to be able to receive the information back from the recreational community as quick as we can, their thoughts, their concerns and their input, to make sure that then we can provide a solid argument or debate or plan forward to the appropriate people.
And I suppose, Harry, on that point, there was a lot of talk at the forum about the percentage that the Recs think they should get. Do you have any gut feel on what that'll be? I think it was 8% of the total catch last time. Do you have any?
Mate,
I know we're sort of clutching at straws, but our guess is probably as good as yours, or?
Yeah, absolutely. just because I'm involved with this now, I literally have no more insight to what you guys have. I got that insight on the snapper through that presentation not long before, we decided let's get this forum happening to provide this information to the community, which I'm trying my hardest to make sure that every bit of information that we receive, we get out there.
Yeah.
It's hard. We need to, we've still got a long road ahead of us to get back into the ability to reach everybody and get that information out there. And that's on us to work out how that looks and how we're going to do that. But yeah, we definitely try to get it out as quick as we can. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So my guess is as good as your guess. It was expressed through through people at the forum that they would like to see our percentage come back up, and we'll definitely be looking at that and fighting for that, because at the end of the day, once again, if the recreational community want that, it's the job of the peak body to fight that fight and put that forward to the government and to PIRSA.
And look, Harry, that's all we can really ask for is the peak body that you guys share what you hear, and whether that's through Facebook or email or whatever it is. It's great that you guys are making an effort to share the information. In terms of you getting information, I think you spoke about on the night about sort of 6 weekly catch-ups with PIRSA and the government. We want to know about that, but also how you think it's going to work having sort of split ministerial responsibility over fishing.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So as I said, I started this and I had some really strict rules around, if I was going to go in and be involved in this organisation. Obviously, this was before we were actually funded and then recognised as the peak body again. But I wanted to ensure that everything that I disliked as a recreational fisher, that we try to address that the best that we can through transparency and communication. And one of my key objectives, and the same with the chair, Barry Brown, we sort of spoke about what our key objectives are moving forward with this government and our new position within RecFish SA. And being the timing being so good, the government obviously being a new government as well. So it's important that you start off relationships on a good note. And we made sure that our initial meetings, we articulated to them, we want to be as transparent as we can be. We want to communicate as much as we can with them, with the government, the ministers, with PIRSA, with SARDI, whoever we need to communicate with. But we expect that back as well, and the recreational community expect that back. And I personally don't believe that has been the case in the past. And that's where, that's where a lot of the frustration, I think, comes from the recreational communities, because they haven't had that transparency and communication back. So those were a couple of things that I sort of, I highlighted that in my first meeting with both ministers, and I've highlighted that with PIRSA as well. I'm not here to headbutt a wall, so provide me with the same professional respect as I will provide you. That's how the 6 weekly meetings came about with PIRSA. We're yet to finalise and lock in with the new government some sort of meeting schedule there. They've obviously got advisors. We will be trying hard to lock in meetings at least bi-monthly with the ministers themselves. But we certainly at this stage have got a informal 6 weekly meeting catch up with Gavin Begg from PIRSA. And that's been going on since about January, I think it was. So they've been actually quite good. It helps develop that relationship, communication there as well. They are, as I said, just an informal catch up. However, we've stipulated that if anything formal needs to be addressed, then there will be a formal meeting request, an agenda, and then it will be held, at PIRSA head office there. Things will be documented, all that formal aspect of it. But the 6 weekly thing is good to be able to gain some information that, information or knowledge or understanding of what's happened over that 6 weeks, and also for us to bring up any issues that we may have heard through the grapevine, whether they be true or false. I've said to Gavin, I will always be very direct with you, and I'll hit you with everything, even if you're not going to like it, but I expect the same back from him.
That's fantastic to hear, Harry. It leads on to my next question for you, because obviously there's been some estimates thrown out around the value of recreational fishing at, something like 160 million, and clearly a common feeling amongst recreational fishing people is that the value isn't either truly understood or acknowledged by government. And I think it's really refreshing to hear that those transparent conversations are going to happen with our peak body to make sure that we can have our value truly understood and recognised for government across the sector, because that's really only going to play to our strengths and the value that the recreational fishing community provide to the state.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I'll keep coming back to our initial meetings that I've had with the minister, and this particular one, we had both ministers in there. It was early on in the piece, and I asked them, because they stated in their election campaign and their promises, I just asked them and quizzed them about the $160 million and the 277,000 recreational fishers. And I just want to know where they got their information from, and whether they have done anything independently prior to, publicising that. And they just gathered that information directly from that previous survey that was done, I think, back in 2012, 2013, something along those lines. And that's what the government has been running off of since then, essentially. That's what everyone has pretty much been running off on. I said at the time around the table that I believe the figure is incorrect. I used my understanding knowledge that I have gained from the independent tackle industry and the BCF and anacondas, and along with the connection I have with North Bank boats and the boating industry here in SA. And I said to them that those two industries alone are probably worth close to $100 million, if not a tad over $100 million. So that leaves us $60 million in generated revenue from tourism, and everything else that goes along with that. I said that their realistic number is probably around $1 billion, and the government really does need to acknowledge that and look into in more detail the true figure of what the recreational spend on fishing is, and what the value of that is to this state. Because there's a massive difference, I believe, between $160 million and $1 billion. Yeah. There's, even if it's only $500 million, there's still a massive gap between 160 and 500.
Yeah, Harry, you're exactly right. In a world where money talks, and whether, people get the perception that the percentage of the catch allocated to recos has gone down based on those incorrect numbers, it is very important to get those numbers right, and we're glad you're pushing for that.
Yeah. As I said, it's a key thing that we need to do is, especially at this stage where we have got a new government, they're extremely, they're vulnerable themselves, because they might not understand what the fishing sector looks like, be that commercial and recreational. So as a recreational peak body, and as just recreational fishermen and fisher people in general, really is crucial at this point of time to ensure that we are as influential on the new government as we can be, so we can give them the correct information of what this sector actually looks like.
Yeah. Now, the next one we want to talk about, Harry, is also related to sort of the finances of fishing, I suppose, and that's the fishing license. I'm sure you've heard a lot about that. Obviously, the feeling I got from the fishing forum that, you know, most of the diehard fishers that go along to that sort of fishing forum seem to be for it, whereas the occasional fisher person who goes out, you know, in the school holidays once or twice a year might be against it. I get the impression that there's a lot more of those occasional fishers. So does that mean that they're sort of worth more votes to the government? Do you think that's where some of that, you know, negativity from the government about the fishing license comes from?
Look, it's a very, very good question. And I mean, how big is the can of worms that we want to open here? It has been extremely well debated over the years. It's been brought up many times with government over the years. Both governments have said that, you know, they're not open at looking at having a license of any kind. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's one of those things, right? The governments might have said, you know, we're not going to have a recreational license. But if the recreational community want a license, well then, you know, it needs to be looked at. And realistically, let's face it, does the government sometimes always keep its promises? Do they always change their mind sometimes? Who knows? If we put if there's a business case to be had there, and it's presented to the government, well then, are they going to change their mind? Are they going to look at it? You know, that's above my pay grade, but certainly, you know, from RecFish's point of view, you know, we're not against it, and we're not saying that we're for it. However, we are the peak body, and it's our job to advocate for the recreational community. And it's a topic that, yes, does keep coming up. And if we need to look into that and build a business case and educate the recreational community around what that might look like, have it go to consultation, and then if that needs to be presented, well, then that's our job to do so. So it's just going to be one of those things that moving forward, you know, we need the input from as many recreational fishers as we can across all topics for us to be able to actually do our job and put things together to present through to government and to PIRSA, for example.
You're dead right. It's going to continue to come up. It is something that will continue to be debated. But one thing I think I would just make a comment on that is that the concept of the iPad survey, the transparency with government, all of these things only lead itself to being able to, like you say, get the decisions that represent the most or the majority of what recreational fishing and the community wants. So I guess this is a real case of watch this space and let's see, like you say, whether government decides that it's something they want to throw a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons. You just never know. It might rear its head again before too long.
Well, that's right. But it also has a lot of benefits, right? You know, personally, this is my opinion now. I see a lot of benefits for having a recreational fishing license if it is managed and handled correctly. But not only that, it's also going to provide us a lot of data. And that's data around you know, the tourism side of things and how many people visit our state to be able to go fishing and fish for snapper. You know, look when the Victorians and New South Wales people used to come over here all the time just to fish for our snapper, for example. But we've never been able to capture that true number of interstate travellers. So it's got benefits there. If it's managed correctly, you know, it's got benefits in the restocking aspect. It's got benefits with the infrastructure side of things and our boat ramps. And I know we're gonna have a bit of a chat about that. But there's a lot of positive things that could come out of having a recreational license. But it's just about possibly educating the recreational community that maybe aren't 100% for it, what it's going to look like and how it's going to be managed and where those funds are going to be spent. And at the end of the day, as I said, once again, this is just my opinion, if the recreational community can have a say on where their money is spent, well, you know, I think that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, Harry, look, thanks for giving us both the official RecFish policy and then your own opinion. It's good to hear both sides of the table.
Yeah. What do you guys think? What's your opinion on a
I
recreational license?
I think we're very much the same. If we know where the money's going to go to, and as a fishing community, we get some say in where it's going to go to. I would say the more money we can put into stocking and facilities and all that sort of stuff, the better. Diz?
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. We've been which we obviously try to toe the line a little bit, but we're both, very much for. We obviously see a lot what goes on in other states, and I'm certainly not one to say, well, let's just replicate exactly what happens here, because clearly South Australia, without having a fishing license currently, has a great opportunity that if it was to implement the license, that we have full control around how that's done. And like you say, then we're really in charge of the rollout of that, in the sense that we can educate the community on why it's there, what it stands for, and what it means for the recreational community. And we completely agree. We only think it'll lead to more beneficial things.
Exactly, and I believe it just gives us a larger seat at the table.
Yeah, you're right.
Take that as you will, but larger seat at the table, and that voice is what we need.
Yeah, you're certainly right about that, Harry. Now, your time is very generous, and your time you've given us is very generous. We've just got a few quick ones we want to get through before we wrap it up. Quickly,
fire away, lads.
The 200K for fishing clubs. Can you tell us about that?
Well, once again, at this stage, as much as I know, we'll be working closely with Minister Hilliard and her team on what that looks like. I believe the grant, so it's $200,000 to the fishing clubs, opening grants, which is fantastic. It's over and above their initial election promise. So we've made, obviously, fishing recognised as a sport, which is fantastic. Gives us the ability to look at these grants now. But as I said, as much as I do actually on this one at the moment. I'm hoping that we'll have a meeting in the next probably about a week and a half. We've sent out meeting requests and agenda requests to both ministers, and then hopefully we can clarify a little bit more on that side of things. And then once that information we've got, we'll be able to let the community know.
Yeah, and this next one might be the same, that you might know the same as we do. Tell us about the O'Sullivan's Beach boat ramp. Do you have any idea on a timeline for that?
No, that's the same answer, mate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have sent out a couple of different emails, just requesting what that information looks like, and that time frame looks like. But we haven't received any firm feedback on it yet. I think that it's important that we are trying to still establish all the key stakeholders in these different areas, and we're trying to meet with as many people as we can. As I said, it is hard being a volunteer organisation. I work full-time, Barry works full-time, and so does everyone else on the board. So we're trying to juggle meetings where we can around our personal lives and work life as well. So it is a key one post that forum on our agenda to follow up. One, to find out what consultation has been had with the public, for example, or key users of that boat ramp. And the second one is, the time frame and when they're going to start, and then what the completion looks like.
And that one, I would have thought quite it's in Minister Katrine Hildier's heartland, so she should be quite passionate about getting that project up and running. Maybe we can pull at the heartstrings a bit there and get a few of her constituents in the area to put up a bit of a voice and get things moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Harry, while we're on the subject of boat ramps, Victor Harbour, do you think getting this fixed is realistic, something that might be on the agenda?
All right, so what answer do you want? You want Harry's answer, or do you want the official answer?
Well, maybe the official answer, I suppose, could be, maybe a bit of a not too sure, and government will make their decision whatever way they. What's your personal opinion on the ramp down there?
All right, so my personal opinion is, because I'm a user of that ramp, I hope that they do something about the ramp. I hope the council will look at their rules around the parking issues. And obviously, I hope that we really move forward and look at what improvements we can do for that ramp. Because as you guys know, and as most recreational fishers know, yes, it is a seasonal ramp. However, it is getting busier and busier in this day and age. There's no ramp facility from the Bluff to Kingston. So it is a massive, area there where users are using that facility. The biggest concern I think I would have as from my personal point of view as a recreational fisher is that in those months when it is extremely busy, is the access for the ramp to emergency services. If something was to go wrong while I'm out on the water, what is the response time going to be like at that ramp for the Coast Guard to come and get me, or Water Police, or whoever it is that can launch from that facility in the time that is required to attend an emergency? You've got, I think it's the Big Duck.
Yeah, and that takes up all the bloody space.
Exactly. I've seen that down there, quite recently, and it's moored and it's taking up a lot of space. You throw the Big Duck in there, and you throw some of these, some of the charter boat operators that work out of there. Obviously, they need the ability to moor up when they're doing their change of crews. And all of a sudden we don't have a lot of space left. Yourselves, the rocks that are in that area. It's only going to be a matter of time before someone else puts a boat up on the rock.
Yeah, look, Harry, it sounds like I might have you on board my campaign to get the Big Duck moved onto the Granite Island Causeway.
Mate, let us know what we can do, because I'm happy to look at it. From the official point of view, through my position in RecFish SA, I am making it a task, as I said, to ensure that we're meeting all the correct people and stakeholders, so we can have direct conversations on behalf of the recreational community to these people. The boat ramps is definitely a key one for me, because I want to ensure that we can make that experience for people using a boat ramp as painless as possible, and as stress-free as possible. Because as you know, when they're busy, they can be pretty hard to navigate around. And then the facilities, are to the standard that everyone is expecting. You could almost tie this in with the license, as I said. What happens if we had a license and didn't have to pay for boat ramps? What happens if the boat ramps were re-owned by the state government? Therefore, they were to make all the upgrades and changes off their own back. What if our license was to be able to have that ability to do that ourselves? There's lots of different things there that we can look at. But I can't stress enough, we can only do as much as we can do. But if we actually don't know what everyone wants, well then, there's not much that we can move forward on.
Yeah, look,
so
Harry,
we just need people's opinions.
Yeah, exactly right, Harry. We certainly are agreeing with that, and we're keen for all our listeners to sort of get involved in RecFish and contact you guys through social media or whatever else it is. But it's great to hear that you do share a lot of opinions with us. And I suppose in what we're talking about at the moment, it is, now's the chance for RecFish. I think this is something that you did push at the forum. It's time to sort of start afresh, unite fishers. And I suppose there's been a lot of arguing in the past about who should run what and who thinks what and all these sort of things. I suppose now's the chance for everyone to get behind RecFish, give our opinions in a respectful way via email or Facebook or whatever it is, because like you say, you can only represent us if we tell you what we're thinking and we contribute to these surveys and things like that.
Yeah, 100%, lads. At the end of the day, as I said, we're all volunteers. So if anyone is, there's lots of committees to be on. There's lots of background stuff that we all need help with, because since I've taken over, for example, on my days off, I work a month on, month off roster, for example, the month that I'm home, I could literally say hand on my heart, 2 days a week, I would be in meetings with PIRSA, government, or somebody else to do with RecFish. And then all the admin that goes along with that as well. And that's just me. And you've got the rest of the board that look after other aspects of it. And I certainly know that Barry has also just been absolutely head down, bum up, just trying to keep up with everything and all these other meetings that go around. So if anyone is looking at, wanting to be involved, the door is open. Now is the opportunity to, as you said, unite everyone together, because we have got the opportunity to be very influential in, on what is going to happen for the future of our fishery, I reckon. So it's exciting times.
Couldn't agree with you anymore, Harry. It's really fantastic to hear that, and certainly encourage anybody to, help out in that space. And, a diverse range of opinions and different experiences is crucial to representing all members. And it's just, your time and everybody else's time on RecFish now as the peak body. We thank them very much. And before we wrap up, mate, tell us how we do, or how our listeners out there become a member, and the best way to get in touch with RecFish as an organisation.
No worries, lads. Thanks once again for having us. To everybody out there, jump on your social media or visit our webpage. I'm sure the guys will be able to put the link up in the podcast at the end of it. Yeah. We're actually going to be reviewing our membership at the next board meeting, which is in about 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to look at how that looks and and what that will entail. So at the moment, we've got our affiliated members and we've got paid membership. So we're going to look at what that looks like. So watch this space for that. But certainly feel free to get in touch with us through our social media or by email. And keep an eye out as well, because now that we are a funded peak body, there is a lot more that goes along with that title. I've been exposed now with my involvement in RecFish just how much is involved in this space, and how hard it's been to keep our heads above water, keeping up with everything. So we will be looking at employing an executive officer and an admin assistant. So if anyone out there feels that they have got the qualifications that go along with that, watch this space as well for a recruitment ad. And then, we'll have our general meeting, AGM at the end of the year in November. And that's when anyone, can come along there if they are a paid member of RecFish, and be able to nominate for a position on the board. It's one of those things, guys, where there is just so much more that happens outside that the recreational community just probably are not aware of. And for the last 5 years, being a unfunded organisation running off of volunteers, it's been extremely hard to keep up with. But we've certainly tried our best, and hopefully we've been able to provide more information over the last, sort of 12 months. We'll definitely be trying to push as much more information out as we can as we receive it.
Yeah, look, Harry, it's great to hear how the funding from the government's going to sort of improve the organisation. And look, we thank you for your time, and we're very much on board with what you guys are doing, sort of giving RecFishers a say. So congratulations on what you guys have done so far, and we look forward to hearing what you get up to in the future.
Beautiful, guys. Really appreciate your time. Thanks heaps for having me on the podcast.
Great to chat to you, Harry. Keep up the great work, mate, and thanks again.
Cheers, legends.
Diz, that was an absolute pleasure, and I thought very informative.
Very informative, Rhodey, very generous with his time, and we thank him very much. Great to get that insight. I think lots of positive things coming. Clearly early doors, and, a lot of water to flow under the bridge, but I like, quite refreshing about the transparency, the openness of communication between RecFish to government. We want to see that happen.
And, it's good to see that the funding is going to make the whole process a lot more efficient, I suppose you'd say, with someone coming on board to work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you clearly resource in, organisations like this is valuable because they will make such a big difference to be able to get information in, get information out, that type of thing. I think, to his point around socials, engagement with the RecFish community, that's a really crucial aspect to this, because I would agree with Harry that the amount of responses to the survey would be pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
And take his point around it being short turnaround, just wanting to get some high level things. And none of us want to be bombarded with surveys. But if that was something that came up periodically, once every 4 months, something like that, and was focused around some key issues, then you'd want to see more than 550 people reply.
Yeah, exactly right, Diz. And I suppose the other thing is we know that RecFish can't click their fingers and get us recos 100% or 50% of the snapper. They can't perform miracles, but it certainly sounds like they're going to give it a good crack, and they're going to not be afraid to give their opinion and our opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a really interesting one that, it'd be nice to have a crystal ball, but, it's going to be touch and go. You think if you're not hearing anything about that report by mid-November, January's dicey.
It is, Diz, and look,
I want to be hearing that report first week of October.
I need to know how to plan my annual leave. But anyway, Diz, that was a really good chat with Harry, and I'm glad we sort of have cut some of the other segments a bit shorter, because I think everyone will learn a lot out of that chat. So thanks again to Harry for coming on. Absolutely,
Brody. Let's give the high level report here, the fishing report. Clearly, salmon are doing well around Victor Harbour and Port Noarlunga still. We're still getting some of those wild weathers, some of those, good runs off the jetty and that sort of thing. People are getting onto a few.
Yeah, they are, Diz. They're still firing. I suppose the other big winter species that we do like to keep an eye on is the barrels, and I think there have been some reports. I did see, interestingly, Portland was getting some fish now too.
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos and a few reports of Portland, so certainly slowed down in terms of the numbers of barrels.
Yeah, certainly Port Mac doesn't seem to be as much action as there has been, but maybe the Victorian side of the border starting to fire, so we could still get a late crack in down there.
Yeah, well, that's just a message to all you South Australian fishers. Grab your bloody boats and tow them across to Portland and hassle the heck out of them like they do to us.
Give them a bit of a taste of their own medicine, eh?
Yeah.
Hey. All right, Diz, let's keep moving. Your dad's been over at Yorks. Any fish?
Yeah, he's got onto a few. Certainly doesn't, he's doesn't like getting out there and, taking his bag or
he's
anything like that.
He's a get four for dinner, isn't he?
Or he can't get the bag, I don't know. But, he's more of a go out regularly, just catch enough for dinner type of operator, and he's had a good few feeds. But, he's a bit of a fair weather fisherman, old Davo. I think he's not going out there on those nasty days.
So he's not a friend of the show, Joey Virgin, taking the mickey on the big whiting down at Marion Bay?
Joey Virgin had some absolute kidney slappers in that esky. He does very well year on year on year. He's obviously got some good spots. But hopefully, Rody, we can get onto a few this weekend.
Exactly right, Diz, and not local, but I did see another of our recent guests. Diz, it's been I've really talked about all our recent guests tonight. Charity Sealink got onto some nice barramundi. I think she got her second one. Yeah. Second or third one of recent times, I reckon.
Yeah, looks like a good barra too.
Yeah, so she's spending time up in Darwin, so we love keeping an eye on what she's doing up there and riding her bike out to the local fishing hole.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Bit of a bucket list one that for me, I reckon.
Yeah, well, I'm going up to Port Douglas in a couple of weeks, Diz, so I'm gonna go out on a little bit of a river mission on a charter boat, and then if all else fails, I'm going to go down to the barramundi farm at Hookabarra and catch one there.
Fantastic, mate. Well, we look forward to hearing about that. Rody, that's been a really great, informative episode, and again, lucky to have Harry on the show for quite some time and really pick his brains. So just remind the listeners about where they can find this episode, Rhodey.
Yeah, Diz, obviously on the Buzzsprout site, but Spotify, Apple Music is where you can get it as well. Make sure you are following us on Facebook and Instagram, and try and tag us, or flick us a message what you're up to, what you've been catching, because we love to hear those sort of things, guys. And look, apologies, it was a long episode, but I think it was very informative, Diz.
Yeah, absolutely, Rhodey. All your listeners out there, give us your feedback. If you enjoyed it, great, let us know. Otherwise, tight lines if you're out there fishing.
Exactly right,
the cliche. But
and thanks a lot to Harry for coming on. And as he said, we've all got to get behind him and do the right thing.
That's right. Happy fishing, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Rhodey and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.